Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of Cocktail Hour. I am Meg.
And I'm Nikki, and if you are a wedding vendor headed to a wedding this weekend, may the odds be ever in your favor. And if you have a double or triple header, this episode is dedicated to you.
To you. Now, today we have a styled shoot gone very, very bad. Typically we do have 2 submissions or 2 stories that we read. This one is rather long for good reason. It's a fucking shit show, and if you don't know what a styled shoot is, we'll talk about it. But I think this is a story that could upset everybody, so I love it.
Do your recap first, starting with Fujifilm, and then we'll recap ILEA kind of together, and then you'll go into history because I got not a lot to recap. Really, like
that's, I know not a lot has happened this
literally,
week.
That was it.
But I think I shared that Fujifilm had reached out to me last week, and they have sent me the most beautiful camera setup. I played with it a little bit yesterday, but I'm trying to go nice and slow and not overwhelm myself because I do have things to actually do for the business. But Fujifilm sent me a GFX 100S2, which is a medium format camera. And I know I posted a video, but if you haven't seen it, just in comparison, the Canon cameras that we shoot right now are like a 24 megapixel sensor, and this Fujifilm camera is over 100. So I have heard from, well, number one, shout out to Fujifilm. Could not be more thankful. I'm looking to see how that fits into my wedding photography, engagement photography, things like that. With it being such a big sensor, I think a lot of people use these cameras for wildlife photography, nature photography, things like that, because there's just so much that you can do with it. You can crop in to the nth degree and it's great. And you don't have to be moving so fast. And so that's something that I'll be interested to see how it goes at weddings. So we're not used to, but you're able to kind of spray, right, with your camera. And with this medium format, it's not necessarily the same. It's like click, next click, and it's so we'll see. I'm super excited though. We'll be heading out. Adam and I have decided it's not just me going on the road trip like we had talked about last week. Adam and I will be both be going on the road trip, and we'll be gone. We're estimating 2.5 weeks. I'm gonna try to push it out to 3.
I was gonna say just make it 3 at that point.
I know.
You might as well.
I know. I will be interested to see. We talked about the fact that let's say we get out to Vegas, right? And we have one night in Vegas, and at that point, if we're just so over the road trip, I said we can turn and go home. There's literally
or
nothing.
You can just go back to Vegas at a certain point if you want to.
Yeah, I'm like, there's nothing holding us to a specific location. So we'll see how that goes. I'm super excited though. We are gonna hit up. I'm sad that you and I didn't get to do it, but on our list is Carmel by the Sea and that whole little section. I know, don't throw that. You're gonna need that lip balm. Sometimes I forget that some people aren't watching us. They're, purely listening to the antics. But yeah, so road trip, Fujifilm, I'm excited. There's a lot of national parks on our list and all that jazz. The only thing that might get tough is depending on the time of the year. Like Yosemite might have snowfall and roads are closed and shit. So we'll see. But other than that, I feel like that's the biggest update for me. So ILEA.
Yeah. Okay. So I think for me, really quick, I guess I did forget about we're getting the keys to the studio today, so that is really exciting.
Yes.
And just planning for all of that shit. One thing I did want to say, I really want to get my hair done. I want to get my hair done before this episode drops. I haven't got my hair done in a year. So
really?
Since June of last year. It was June 20th, I remember, because it's the day I got COVID. And it was also the day that my first TikTok had ever gone viral.
So it was a good day. You're like, my hair's did my
got
viral
my hair done,
video.
But then I got COVID. And so it was literally the worst experience of my life. I've never been more sick in my life. Yeah. I had to pull out of a wedding working with you because I was that sick. It was the...
And mind you, Nikki does not pull out of weddings.
It was the worst. I blacked out that entire week of my life. Yeah. That's how sick I was. My family still tells me about it. They're like, I will never forget that. Because I guess I would just come upstairs and I would just be zombified and be like, ugh.
They're like, bitch, go away.
They were like, girl, are you okay? And I'd be like, oh. It was the worst. I've never been more sick in my entire life. But there's a lot of things going on, so I really do want to get my hair done.
Yeah.
I don't know what I want to do yet. I just want to
I was
get
gonna say, so like with your hair dark, I just thought your hair's black.
yeah,
So what do you do when you get it done?
Well, I want to get it cut. Not like cut it all
Gotcha.
off, but I need to get my ends trimmed, maybe add some layers.
Yeah.
Maybe add like a gloss or something. Don't know yet, but we have like our branding photo shoot on Sunday, and so I'd like to get that done before then.
Yeah.
And there's not a chance that I'm going to find like a really good hairdresser to do that before Sunday, but we'll see.
No, we'll see.
We'll see.
Who's shooting the branding photos?
Me.
Nice. I kind of figured. But I feel like you do a really good job with not only shooting like the team, but then I'm sure you tripod it and
well, I bring
like, the whole team.
I bring an assistant. So for me, my biggest thing was like, yes, we could bring in somebody, but for our very first shoot, especially for the studio, for our new studio, like I told the team, like, we're going to want to have a lot more say and control. And like while hiring an associate, you can still have that, especially like if I'm there. But it's so much easier for me to have an assistant instead of an associate and just be like,
this is exactly what we're going to do.
This is exactly what I want. Here's all of the inspo. This is what we talked about. Whereas with an associate, I think somebody who's an associate shooter has so much more experience and can give more input. And as much as I love that on a normal day, for this, I just am like, let's just get it done because it's also a shoot that's like me, Grace, and Evie. So like the social suite team, but then we're doing the entire Grace Myler media team.
Gotcha.
So it's gonna be on a larger scale with like 8 of us and and then a smaller segment of 3 of us. So there's just so many moving parts that sometimes it's like with an associate, I just don't want to deal with feeling like I'm stepping on someone's toes either. Like not,
or like it's not hitting the vision that
yes, exactly. Like I'd rather just have an assistant be like, hey, this is where we're setting up tripod, or this is where we're setting up camera. Maybe do an angle flip or do this. But just having that creative freedom, especially for our first shoot ever in this studio space, is going to be great. We have paper backdrops ordered. We're bringing all of our furniture in this week. We have to paint our moving backdrops today and tomorrow. So there's a lot to do, but it'll be great. I'm
going to call out that when I first got a studio here, not this one, but the other one, my goal was to do a photo studio. And if you want to do it, great. It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work and a lot of money.
Lots of work, lots of money. And like the space that I had was not big enough. And it is one of those things where it's such a kudos, or like I look at what you all are doing. And I look at Grace like finding a space and pushing and saying, hey, okay, I need, or like, do you want a partner and all this stuff? And it's good business and it's just smart, and putting all of that work in is really, it's going to pay off. But I know how much work it is relatively. And I'm like, whew.
It's a lot. There's a lot that like I don't think people think about either. So there's a lot of conversations that we've had where I am the only photographer on the team. So for me, I'm like, I feel like I'm offering a lot of very cautious input where I'm like, well, did we think about this, or what about this, or what about that? And I'm also the oldest on our team. So sometimes I'm like, I don't want to feel like I'm overbearing everybody with like being this old, like, crazy, like old woman, yelling at everyone. And I'm not yelling, but there's just so much that goes into it. And as somebody who has rented various studio spaces, I'm like, there are so many things going through my head that until every I is dotted and T is crossed, I will not feel good.
Yeah.
Which I know you have that.
I was like
ingrained into your actual like DNA. Yeah.
Hearing you say that statement, like I cannot stop, and I'm like, I get it. And I feel like it's funny when you're in different spaces with different friends. Like you are in, that, not friend group, but like you're in that environment and then you are that person. And not to say like then you're in an environment with me and I'm that person, but I feel like we are all just different levels of things depending on the groups that we're with.
And it's not to say that I don't trust the others, obviously,
100%.
But like I trust you 100% with all of this. That's how I was like, you got it. I trust everything that you're doing.
You'll be like, Meg will be so much more anal than I could ever
totally
want to be. Yeah.
But with them, I'm like, I trust them also 100%. Yeah. However, they're not photographers.
Exactly.
And so that's the only area where I'm like, I'm the only photographer on team who, you know, has that and will also use this and hopefully help encourage other photographers to want to utilize the space as well. Like, I just bought a fucking reflector for like $120. And I was like, why? Why? I'm like looking at your Godox slide. I'm like, shit, I gotta order one of those too. Like, I don't
which is funny because you know why I got that? Because I get bugs up my butt of different photography things I want to try. So I told myself I should connect with some restaurants and just see if I can come through and like do some product photography for them. But then I knew that I needed a light and I like, and I, you know, this setup. And then I got reflectors and I got whiteboards and whatever. Have I reached out to one fucking restaurant?
Where are all of these things? Let me just buy them off of you.
I mean,
the thing is, no.
You're like, actually, I literally don't want to buy all of them. I do.
No, I do, but I know that if I buy them from you, you're going to be in a month, you're going to be like, well, what if I want to do that again? And you're just going to buy it again. So I'm not even going to put you through that process. But
also, last thing I'll say before we hop into ILEA is I have decided, it's funny because I was talking to one of my couples about this, my past couples, and she was like, yeah, you're being a bitch baby, because I have always said, like, I just shoot weddings. I just shoot weddings. I don't want to shoot anything else. I'm too busy, whatever. Now, while that may be true, I actually have a pretty open summer and fall during the weekdays. So I decided that I am going to put myself out there and try to shoot some family sessions, but I want them to be very specific to my style. So I reached out to a few families or like couples of mine that, you know, have had babies since I shot their wedding and stuff, just so I can get out there and practice and all that good stuff. So I just want everyone to keep me in their thoughts, well wishes, prayers, whatever it is you do.
You can shoot me, Craig, and Baxty. That's my son.
That's not the same.
I will cradle him like a child. I'll bring Craig's kids.
I love
they're
teenagers.
Actually very cute.
I'm sure they're very cute, but I hate teenagers. Sorry
if
you're
the
teenagers.
Worst. Teenagers are the worst. Very cute, but very douchey.
And I also match energy. So like, you douche me, I douche you. Like, I'm not going to be nice. And
a teenager will go all day, but the difference is a teenager will make you fucking cry.
Oh yeah,
you will get into your car and you will be like, oh my God, what did you just say to me?
They'll get down to the root of insecurity. But yeah, so if you're listening to this and you're like, oh my God, Meg, I would love a family session. Well, I don't do them yet, but I'm going to try. So wait until I have 3 sessions for where
wait till we see if you like it.
Yeah. Let's talk about that really quick, because work is work, right? So like, I love weddings,
right,
but they're fucking stressful sometimes. Like, you're on your feet for 10 hours, whatever. You just get better at it, but it doesn't get easier. But I don't know. I just sit there and I go, do I have to be absolutely in love with family sessions to shoot families? I'm wondering. Tell me in the comments. Like, do you have to love a specific thing?
I think you do.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, we'll see if I love it. And how am I supposed to put the stipulation, like, family sessions, no teenagers?
Right, exactly. But I also think you can kind of take on, you can, like you said, like, you can give it you can make it what you want it to be. So like, you can essentially say like, hey, I only shoot families with toddlers, and that's young kind of, young families. And I do it in not even mini sessions, but in like not a formal session format where it's like
more like let your kid run around.
Yes, exactly.
Like, let's tire them out. The other thing I'm thinking is maybe instead of sunset sessions, sunrise sessions, because like your kids
not
just
with them
waking
kids.
up.
Hell no.
I was afraid they'd be so cranky when it's close to bedtime.
You can't really play with either.
This is why kids suck.
Well, yeah, you got to kind of, especially if it is a true toddler, you have to play around nap time and snack time and lunchtime, and like, there are a lot of things that come with, especially toddlers. And I only know this because I nannied for so long that like, it's not easy, but like, if you don't want it to be a seated, everyone smiling portrait, like, then you can play with it. But like, playing with a bedtime and a wake up time, that's going to be harder.
That's fair.
So it just might not be the time of day you want, but it'll still be the same vibe.
We'll see how it goes.
Just find an open shade area and just roll with it. Yeah.
See what happens.
Yeah.
Fair. Anyway. Okay, Ilea. We totally
as
deviated.
We're like, we're not going to tell. I'm good. I'll just go blah, blah, blah. Okay, Ilea was so fun. It was both of our first times going. So for those of you who don't know, Ilea is the International Live Events Association, and we attended / worked, volunteered the Minnesota Chapter Star Awards.
Yeah.
Which was out of this world.
Literally and figuratively. It was phenomenal.
Never seen anything like it.
Yeah.
It was incredible. And from what I've heard from multiple people who were there, this was like the best they've ever seen. So happy. And it made me so happy too.
Well, I was shocked when everything started to come together. I was like, this event is on another level.
I've never seen anything like it. No. I will say I've told everybody who has asked, like, I've never seen one thing I do want to call out too is like I have never seen so many different vendors come together on a volunteer basis and really just like be so helpful to one another. Yeah. And in this industry that we work in, within the event space, within the wedding space, I do think that a lot of the times there is a lot of competitive spirit and there isn't a lot of holding space for like, oh, well, there can be multiple of us here, like multiple photographers or multiple videographers or multiple planners or content creators. I think that a lot of the times there is a space that's created where it's like, well, I want to be exclusive. I want to be the only one. But this was a space where I saw so many different creators coming together and really like just setting their own businesses aside and saying, I'm doing this for the commonwealth, for the common good of everybody who's going to be attending. And I thought it was so fucking cool. Like just seeing, photographers and also putting like faces to actual names that I see online and stuff, like meeting people that I've never met before but I've followed or just kind of know from knowing other people. It was so cool to just like meet and just interact and have fun with one another. And I have had the best time creating videos from it because I did content. Meg was doing photo.
It's a new hybrid we have to do to get bookings.
I did content under Grace Miller Media. Meg was doing photo for the Louis. And it was just, I've had the blessed time.
It really was amazing.
It was so cool.
I will tell you, because we made the out of this world comment. So this year's theme was Area 21.
Yep. A play on Area 51.
Yeah, play on Area 51. So it was like very extraterrestrial. Just a few things that were on the shot list that I would love to read you all. Hazmat suit beverage attendants. There were taxidermied armadillos, or at least one for sure. I saw him.
Was that real?
I think that guy was real. I mean, he's dead, but he was real. THC bar, which was super cool.
There was a massive marijuana plant by Cosmos Florals, a massive just bud plant. It was the coolest fucking thing. If for those of you who don't know, I partake in the THC every once in a while.
Yeah.
If not all the time. I'm just kidding. But it was just so cool. Yeah, I'm actually just vaping right here, hitting a weed pen. But it was so cool.
It hit you when you walked in the room. You were like, oh party.
Who's been in here?
What the fuck else here?
There was a custom build spaceship by someone that I will find. We'll link all of this in the show notes.
Here's the thing. We will link all the vendors, but like Nick said, there were so many vendors.
We're not going to link all of them. There's no way.
Well, we can link them in like the show notes. Like I'll just put like the vendors and what their handles are or whatever. But it was so cool. So many planners, so many photographers, which is funny because in my head I was like, am I going to be stepping on people's toes? Is this going to be overkill?
It wasn't even like that at all. It was like the more the merrier. Shout out to Ariel Gutierrez. He was the director of the event, I believe, and just a phenomenal job. All of the vendors who were involved, phenomenal job. Everybody from the performers, dancers, DJs, saxophonists, photographers, videographers. So far from what I've seen from Voyage, holy shit. Crazy behavior. Yeah. All of the caterers, the food, the bartenders, just literally everything that went into this event. There were so many details, so much thought put into it.
Did you know that Bon Iver was there? Is that his name, Bon Iver?
Bon Iver?
Bon Iver. I don't think it's Ivor.
Well,
I think
yeah,
it's
probably
Iver
not.
or whatever. He was there. So Bree from Archifet, her husband ran into this guy in
on
like
the
elevator bar somewhere at the Four Seasons, right? So this was the Four Seasons Minneapolis. Shout out to them as well.
Yes, shout out to the Four Seasons.
But Bree is one of like the event designers, and her husband ran into him and was like, "Hey, we have this event going on upstairs if you want to roll on through."
Shut
and
up.
he fucking did. Yeah. I'm tagging you, Bon, or whatever. So,
Bon Iver.
Yeah.
Bon Iver.
Beautiful voice. That's what we're calling you, okay? Beautiful voice. But yeah, if you're watching on YouTube or Spotify, I'll randomly throw some fucking photos so you can see some of the photos that I took. But
throwing some again,
vids. I can throw. You gotta send me some. But there were so many phenomenal vendors. Everyone did an awesome job. I thought it was just you and Kate for content,
unveiled
and then
content
there was another unveiled content code, and I was like, okay, everybody, like you said, is just kind of coming together. There was so much to capture, even for me, who's normally like a crackhead on wedding days, capturing everything. I had to sit down sometimes. Number one, I was wearing the most uncomfortable shoes, but two, I was just like, this is a lot. And it's great. Like, they put their whole ussy into this event. I was so impressed with all of them.
I was so impressed. I was really proud of, like, being a part of something that was so wildly impressive.
Yeah.
And just to see people go above and beyond for an event that is to honor and host other creatives was just really cool and really fun.
Agreed. And it's not just like wedding professionals.
No,
this is like events in general.
Yeah.
So it was great. And this was Adam's first event, which was
I'm so glad he came.
Kind of like, don't worry, they're not all going to be like this. Not don't worry, but now I'm like, well, the next one's not going to be as cool.
Don't expect this at any event that you come to, because this is above and beyond. I've never seen anything like this.
Never seen anything. So, yeah, it was a party. It felt like we were in the fucking Hunger Games or something. District 1 for sure.
Yeah, it was really fun, though. Like, I had
everyone went all out on their outfits.
Yeah, and everybody was having a good time. And I think that's what it's about. And especially before, like, busy season kicks off, like, it was nice just to be able to get together with, you know, the Commonwealth. I don't know why I keep saying that, as if we're like in a fucking
I was like, have you watched Game of Thrones lately?
No,
or what's
literally,
going on?
I don't know what's wrong with me, but just to be together with, you know, all of the people that you have worked with or just been in the same, you know, realm. I can't think of the words. 7:21 in the morning, so whatever.
I will tell you, though, sometimes when I listen back to our episodes, I want to punch myself in the face because the things I say. So last episode, I said that my grandmother was an adventurer, true and true.
You said that?
Instead of through and through. Yeah. So sometimes I listen back and I go, what in the Sam hell is wrong with me? And I think it's because I'm not eating that much. We've talked about
and
this.
Also, it's 6 a.m. when we get here.
Yeah, it's fairly early. We haven't eaten yet today. So I just need everyone to take everything we say with a grain of salt. Because we're out here trying.
And you know what? Shout out to everybody at the ILEA event who told us they listened to the pod.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck, I forget that people listen to this and that I need to figure my shit out on this podcast.
I thought that that week that we were having audio issues where we weren't posting an episode, I thought we could just like fly under the radar and post the next week.
Oh, no, people cared.
Yeah, people were reaching out. They were like, just checking in. Where's the episode? And I was like, aw.
I will say that happened. So my mom and I, when we had our podcast and we were posting weekly, as soon as we stopped, people were like, where's the podcast? Where are your episodes? What are you doing? Why haven't you posted? Please bring back the episodes. Even on my TikTok, still to this day, people will be like, hey, would love another episode. I'm like, girl, we haven't posted in 6 months. Like,
these things are hard to keep up with.
They are.
If you are not like pushing, because this doesn't go above life. Like, this is not prioritized above our lives, our relationships. We run businesses. So this is something that there's a lot going on, but this is something that I think we love so much that we're like, okay, we're going to push through regardless if we have to change studios, if we change format, whatever. But for this only being our 11th episode, I think I put it in the caption of last week's 10th episode that like, I'm just really proud of us.
Me too.
That we've done this, especially I feel like, and you and I have spoken about this, that friends, sometimes that's hard to work with your friend and create businesses with your friends and things like that because things can get personal and whatnot. So I'm just proud of us for like being able, especially when we were creating this, to like have the hard conversations, disagree when we wanted to disagree and whatever, but still push forward because we have that vision and we just,
Yeah. And I think we've done a great job. And like you said, it's not easy. Like a lot goes into this in terms of even just finding shit to talk about on a weekly basis. Now, obviously, we've talked already for probably, 40 minutes about literally nothing. So in a sense, yes, that is easy. But finding engaging content that people are going to be like, oh, let me actually listen to this, that is hard shit. And that's kind of what I ran into in the pod with my mom. Like, yes, I love catching up with her and we have a good, chat and banter. But at the end of the day, I'm like, now I have to do all of this research for like, stories about other church cults and this and that, or bring this up or bring that up. And it's a lot, especially when it's not something that I'm dealing with on a daily basis, whereas like photography. So I can search that up and we can kind of use our audience and saying like, submit your stories. People don't want to talk about their church cults. They got trauma.
Yeah, they're nervous. They're nervous those church cults are coming after them.
They're scared.
Well, and it makes me think about the podcasts that are daily. So although I'm not in love,
who the fuck is doing
the toast? So the toast is daily, and I think about that, and I go, that's a lot of fucking work. Now, granted, if that's your main job.
I was going to say, they got a team of people who are researching everything for them and providing them
here's
all
what I'll
that
say.
shit.
The toast, I think maybe because it's more pop culture, they look at people top 5 and go from there. That's fine. But I do think about My Favorite Murder, right? Where they do have teams.
That's daily?
I think they post one full episode a week and one mini. But those are teams who are doing the research on stories, like extensive research.
And typing them out in show form for them to talk about.
Exactly. And you and I have had this conversation too, that not only do they have teams doing research, they have social media teams, marketing teams, audio teams, like the people on cameras and audio. They have teams for literally everything. They come, they sit down. And now I'm not negating how hard they work as hosts.
Oh, for sure.
Doing it all yourself, it was, once we started, it made more sense to me why so many podcasts go up and come down very quickly. Because I go, this is a lot of work if people are not willing to do it consistently. So when I have couples ask like, oh, can we do something on Monday? Like I said, no. I have Mondays, for the most part, completely crossed off. Because not only do I want to record, I then go home, I back up, like we start, producing everything and making
all the things.
Excuse me. So it's just like, it is a lot of work. I need one full day dedicated. And then even that sometimes is not enough because like then throughout the week, we need to try to remember to post, which I am not good with. Not only that, then on a daily basis, responding to comments and engaging. And
there's so much that goes into it that is not top of mind when starting a thing like this. And you're like, oh, fuck, now I got to keep up with all this shit.
Yeah. It's like when people want to be skinny, but then I'm like, but then you got to keep up with it.
You got to work out every day.
I'm like, I didn't sign up for this shit.
And you got to, not eat like an absolute monster. I want to say something really quick before we hop into the story.
Yeah.
I've been eating like a monster. I'm not going to lie. I have been pretty stressed just with life in general lately. I know we've both had lots of stress happening. Your girl has been stress eating, stress smoking weed.
Yeah.
And eating.
I was gonna say the weed is not helping the eating.
God, do you know how much I ate last night?
Like, what do you like to eat when you're?
Let me tell you. First of all, I love to cook. So yesterday, like this week, for whatever reason, I've been in my chef mode.
Yeah,
whipping up some concoction. So like yesterday I made lunch, which I never make lunch. Yeah. Who the fuck makes lunch anymore?
Do you ever eat lunch or you just grab something?
No, I never do. Yeah, usually it's just like if I'm out, whatever, like if we want something, whatever. I never notice the time. So I'm like, lunch? Who does that? The only reason I know anything about lunch is because we make my grandpa a plate every single day for his lunch and then give it to him. And that's the only, but even then I'm like, I'm not hungry. But yesterday, for some reason, I made full on like chicken teriyaki stir fry, rice, some veggies, and at the same time I was prepping the crock pot with some pulled chicken tinga tacos. And then after that, after dinner, I made cheese empanadas and all the things. I was like just whipping it up. So I was eating full bowl of chicken for lunch. Full. Like you've never seen it.
That's
no,
good.
babe. Full. All rice too. Oh, we love that starch. Us Latinos, rice every day. Eating it.
Yeah.
Stuffing it down. Then I ate all my tacos. My mom's boyfriend came over. He made guac and this fire-ass salsa. And then we're chowing down on all the chips. And I'm having second helpings. And then I had, 5 empanadas? Then I ate myself a little bag of, those, healthy Swedish fish that they sell at Target in the blue bag.
Sugar. Yeah.
Whole bag went down. And then I'm walking around upstairs. I had to go get my laptop. It's 1 a.m. Everybody's sleeping. And I'm like, should I eat another popsicle? Mind you, I ate 7 popsicles. I'm lactose intolerant, wildly lactose intolerant. Should not be eating popsicles.
We have a different take on what a popsicle is. To me, a popsicle is a fruity treat.
Yeah, that's what I was eating.
How does that have anything to do with milk?
They're Mexican popsicles, the ones with the dairy in them. They're mango and cream and strawberry and cream.
I thought it was going to be
white woman. No, I'm just kidding.
I thought it was going to be a fudgy kind of thing. I'm like, that's
but
not
you can
a popsicle.
Also do the strawberry shortcake popsicles. We got them in the freezer too.
To me, that's just not a popsicle to me.
But the mango and the strawberry ones are. And you can't negate that.
That's fine. When I was young and I grew up in a trailer park, there was a trailer in my neighborhood with a door that had no, on the back of the trailer that had no
door.
No, it had a door, but it didn't have a steps or nothing. It was just a random door.
A drop-off door.
Door. And if you knocked on it, an old dude would give you freezies out of it. He would just pop one and cut the top and hand it off to you.
Would he make you look at his willy or something?
No, but how crazy that we just did that. I don't know who this man was. Nikki, literally knock, knock, knock.
Hello, kitty.
And he would just I need to ask my sister if she remembers this, because I was like, who's that guy that used to give us freezies?
And she's like, I blacked that out of my memory entirely.
Probably. But all the neighborhood kids would.
I literally was at the gym the other day and this girl looked at me and she was like, hey, my sister went to middle school with you. And she brought up this story because she knows I go to the gym with you. And she was like, she brought up this story about how when you were in 6th or 7th grade or something, you brought your mom's laptop to school. And I guess you went to the bathroom or something. And then you came back and the laptop was gone. What happened to the laptop? I was like, baby girl, this brain is concussed.
Yeah, you're like, I don't
know. I was like, I don't even remember that happening. I don't remember that being an occurrence in my life, but I'm glad that your sister remembers it. Because I don't know what happened
if
to
anything,
said laptop.
I've tried to block out everything from before before 26. I would like to just not remember anything. That's why I try so hard not to see anyone from my high school. Sorry, Mora Mustangs.
Yeah, that's why I can't go to the Plymouth Lifetime.
I'm just like, I don't want to see any of you because none of you probably have good thoughts about me.
And first of all, let's not even make it about me. Let's not make it about me. Don't make the thoughts about you.
Oh.
Let's go. First of all, you probably graduated with a class of 60. Let's be so fucking for real.
I believe
here.
It was 70.
Yeah. So that's a small world.
5 of us were named Megan. Almost 10% of us.
That's sick and twisted.
Isn't that nuts?
You should have left.
Wouldn't it be funny if actually I graduate with the class of 200 and I'm just such
lying
an idiot that I've convinced myself it was only 70?
I graduated with almost 1,000 people.
That's fucking crazy.
It was sick.
But I will tell you that in one way I do wish that was how my high school was, but in another way it was nice to know, not only did you know each other, you knew everyone's siblings, you knew everyone's parents.
See, I don't want that.
But then once I made a mistake in high school.
I was going to say, because I don't want people to know me.
Yeah. Yeah. There was a situation in which parents were like, you cannot hang out with Megan anymore. And I was like, I wish all of you didn't know everything.
That was all of my friends.
No bueno.
I wish I would have been a much better student. Did I tell you? No, I was just telling Z about a story about how I got arrested my senior year of high school. We'll talk about that for another day. But we were dying so hard recapping the story of how I got arrested. And
oh my God.
It was the craziest thing that as I'm talking about it, I'm like, oh, this is not normal. Like, this is not, I should not tell people this.
We'll definitely have to hear it on
as
the
I
pod.
announce it on the pod.
Here's the thing. We both got shit from high school to talk about that I think would shook some people. So we'll have to do that. Maybe we'll do a mini episode of like high school trauma.
Love that.
High school trauma.
Okay, let's jump into the story.
Let's do it because this bitch long. This is from Anonymous, okay? I have tried to change names just in case because I'm not coming for anybody specifically, but this is about a styled shoot. So here's what I'll say. If you don't already know what a styled shoot is an event, if you will, kind of on a smaller scale that a group of photographers can buy a ticket to. It's hosted by an organizer. That could be any type of wedding vendor where it is providing content for photographers, videographers, florists. It's a way to just showcase and design something. I'm not doing a good job of explaining this.
I will go for
all.
it. I was
Please
about
do
to
it.
stop you because
I literally am
as
like,
soon as you said event of some sort, it's a photo shoot. So essentially what it is,
I'm having a stroke.
No, it's a styled photo shoot that resembles a wedding. So what that looks like in some cases is that there's a model couple, whether it's a bride and bride, bride and groom, groom and groom, or a solo bride or a solo groom.
Or even just the design.
Or just the design itself. So a lot of the times there's one or the other or both incorporated. So in this instance, I think there were supposed to be multiple models and design incorporated in terms of a ceremony set and a reception set. And what the reception set usually looks like is like a head table or a sweetheart table, something to showcase, like Meg, like you were kind of saying, something to showcase the work of the vendors who are wedding vendors or event vendors to showcase their work, and also gives photographers the opportunity to use these photos in their portfolio.
Agreed. Now, one note I'll make about this, just knowing more about this specific styled shoot, it was less wedding focused and it was more like art creativity focused. So I believe the ads that were posted for the shoot were like 3 different concepts out on the beach somewhere in the country, okay?
And this is in California? You can cut that if you need to.
It's not in California, but I don't remember exactly where it was.
I do remember now.
The story just says it was by the water. So that could be California, it could be Florida, it could be Mexico. I don't give a fuck where it is.
It's in Tijuana. Which, mind you, Tijuana actually is kind of beautiful in some parts. Listen, as a Latina,
I think
I ain't coming for Tijuana.
The world, no matter where you go, is beautiful in some parts. So
I've been to some place. I'm just joking.
Anyways, but this one was more of a creative. But the ad said, hey, 3 different concepts out on the beach, on the literal beach.
Okay.
The
stand
reference photos.
Up in your toes.
Yeah, the reference photos were stunning, all this stuff, right? Event says it was going to start at 2. So those are the facts I need everyone to know going into this.
Event starts at 2.
Event starts at 2 p.m.
Photos on the beach.
Sunset is at 5 or 5:30 at this time of year. Okay. So you should have like roughly 3.5 hours of shooting.
Okay.
These 3 different concepts
so
on the
an hour
beach.
At each.
Yeah. Hour at each on the beach. Yeah. Those are the facts I need everyone to know going
Lay
into
out
this.
these other facts that are listed at the top here too.
So, story is titled Styled Shoot Scam. Overall, here's a little bit of a breakdown of the finances. So the ticket for the styled shoot was $1,300.
We should also preface, people pay for these.
Oh,
These are ticketed events 99.9% of the time. These are ticketed events that are hosted by other vendors. And in order to sometimes not even turn a profit, but to break even with paying for the event, they ticket the event anywhere from, I would say, $175 for a local smaller scale thing. But as you can see, upwards of $1,300 to $2,000 sometimes or more for a larger scale travel event. So this one is $1,300 and it is not local.
Yeah. And I will tell you that $1,300 is a pretty penny.
Yes.
Like if it's not I don't know. I that's all subjective, so I won't get into that. But knowing, even if you're not a wedding professional, like $1,300 is a good chunk to spend on a styled shoot ticket.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So, okay. Story titled Styled Shoot Scam. The finances of it. The ticket price was $1,300. This person paid $350 for their plane ticket, $80 Uber from the airport to the hotel, got a hotel for 2 nights, $470. That was the lowest rate for the area. Makes sense if they're by the water. Other expenses, $100. 1 night stay next to the airport, $170. So roughly they spent, let's say, $2,500 on this experience. So where to begin? Safe to say I paid almost $2,500 for a styled shoot that I didn't take one picture at. Not because it wasn't beautiful, but because it literally didn't happen. All 5 attendees ended up not shooting, and 3 of them left before it even started because the sun had already set. The original ad was for everyone to stay in an Airbnb right on the water. This area is so expensive that the shoot organizer said most of the ticket price was going towards lodging and set design. I messaged them asking what airport I should fly into because the location was close to multiple airports. I was told to fly into a specific airport even though it was more expensive, but then I wouldn't have to rent a car. 2 weeks out from the shoot, I get an update that 4 girls backed out and it would literally only be me at the Airbnb. So the organizer canceled the Airbnb and said I would get a $500 refund to book my own lodging. No, I did not receive that $500 back before the session. I also don't know if they've ever received this $500 back. The organizer ended up finding another Airbnb further up the coast for cheaper that we would use for the models to get ready. She said she rented it by the hour, but the owner gave her a deal and didn't charge her for the night. Well, guess what? The new Airbnb is an hour and a half away from the airport that she told me to fly into, and the Ubers or taxis are well over $100 at any point in the day. The day before, she was saying how the makeup artist and one of the so the day before the shoot, the organizer said the makeup artist and one of the models backed out, which happens all the time for styled shoots. It's kind of the norm, sadly. She did not have any backup plans and was contacting the most random people. She ended up finding a wicked talented makeup artist, and she ended up asking another model if she had any friends that could also model. They did find someone who has never modeled before and looked like she was in high school. Looked so young. Start time was originally 2 p.m. She sent out a text to everyone that things were running late and then it would be more like 3 p.m. The makeup artist and one of the models showed up at 1 still because the organizer never told them it was running late. The other the other model showed up right after, so it is now 2 p.m. So reminder all, 2 p.m. is when this was supposed to start. Mind you, nothing is set up yet. So of these 3 concepts, nothing. The organizer rolls up in a U-Haul packed to the brim with tables, boxes, clothes, and no help, just her. Each box is probably 40 to 50 pounds and stacked to the brim with glass and other items just thrown in there. And then a 10-foot heavy table. We looked around and said, "Where's the help?" And she jokingly said, "I am my own help." In no way was she going to get all of that by herself and down over 7 set of stairs through the Airbnb and down the beach. Everyone was in high spirits, though, at the time and offered a hand. It took us just an hour to get just the table down to the beach. It is now 4 p.m. She mentioned why the tickets, I'm like stopping because I'm so irritated reading this. I'm so upset. She mentioned why the tickets were so expensive was because of the stay and these mirrored pillars that she was building. Not gonna lie, the reference photos looked amazing. Would have loved to photograph these, but the only problem was they weren't even built yet. And they weren't even mirrors. It was wood pillars that she was going to put metallic contact paper on. So the organizers down on the beach starting to set up the table. All the attendees are in the Airbnb building the pillars ourselves, not knowing what we were doing or how to even finish them. Another 45 minutes goes by and we had only finished 3 out of the 4 sides of 1 pillar. That's when the first of the 2 girls left because all of the flowers were fake and from Joanne fabric.
No.
I'm not laughing with her or at her. I'm like, I am enraged. I know this because I helped her shop for them the night before. She said that these were going to be random accents to the fresh flowers that she was getting. Well, the fresh flowers were 24 basic grocery store red roses, not opened or artistically styled, just out of the bag and into the vase. Among the clearly fake artificial flowers, nope, not opened or artistically styled, just out of the bag and into the vase, among the clearly fake artificial flowers. There was also a promise of a funky centerpiece for the flowers, in her own words, something you've never seen before. And when I tell you those flowers were just thrown into 2 vases on the table, and that's it. Not even an inch close to the inspo pics. Not to mention the organizer made the dresses. No luxury gowns or even professionally made gowns to photograph at all. Back to the pillars. She came up from the beach for scissors. It has now been another hour, and she's still working on the tablescape. She looks at the pillars and says, there shouldn't be any air bubbles. We all looked at each other and couldn't believe it. She then walks back down to finish the tablescape, ended up scrapping the pillars because we all agreed we just wanted to shoot and we could live without them in the photographs. It is now 5 p.m. The sun sets in 30 minutes and the models are ready but don't know what they're wearing. There's over 10 dresses and only 3 models and no one knows who's wearing what. We're all just sitting there mad as hell. The organizer, is still down on the beach doing the tablescape. The inspo pics had the table in the water, or at least near the water, so that we'd be able to get the crystal clear blue water in the photographs. But the table's now set up right in front of the stairs to the Airbnb, and the other concept was literally right behind it. So if we're still going to shoot, we would have to only be able to shoot one concept at a time because they're all on top of each other. Come to find out, the only reason that the table wasn't near the water was because she didn't buy a permit to shoot on the beach and didn't want to get fined. Apparently, they are super strict about photography on these beaches and you have to get a permit to shoot anything. She made a comment that we all have to hide this from the sheriff that patrols the area, and he was literally there all day up and down the beach. It is now 5:35. The sun is on the horizon, perfect golden hour. One of the models, who is still not dressed by the way, looks to us and says, I feel so bad for you guys, but I was only paid for an hour and we have to go. So we called down to the organizer, still working on the fucking table. And she comes up and starts dressing the models, and the one says, hey, I gotta go. And the organizer starts arguing with her and says, no, I paid you till 6, now put this dress on. And bless that model's heart, she said she would stay for another 15 minutes, but no longer. The other 2 models get dressed. It is now 5:45, sun has just set, and we're now entering blue hour. There's now 2 other attendees and myself left waiting to shoot. We're watching the models walk down to the beach, and the organizer is still in the Airbnb. One of the organizer's friends from the area just shows up and starts shooting Super 8 of the models. Don't know where she came from or if she bought a ticket, but I didn't really care. The organizer walks out of the room and says, come on guys, let's go shoot. It's 5:50 now. We all look at each other confused. One attendee was there to do video only, and she wasn't going to be able to shoot anything with our flashes going off, and at this point, flash was necessary. Even if we didn't use flash, the videographer wasn't going to be able to get anything. The other gal was from Virginia and came with her parents, and they had just arrived to pick her up because we were supposed to be done with the shoot at this point. She looked at the organizer and said, no girl, we aren't shooting. I'm leaving. This has been awful. The organizer then looks at us and starts crying, telling us that she couldn't pay her rent last month and that her power is out in the house right now. She then walks away and starts shooting the models. It is now 6:19 p.m. It is pitch black out. They are all shooting. I come downstairs. The models have left. The organizer's Super 8 friend left, and it was just me and another attendee who were also staying the night in the Airbnb. We just started cleaning the kitchen because there's food everywhere. Side note, she promised lunch and snacks. The only food that she brought was cheese and crackers, and then she brought a bunch of open food from her home for us to snack on, like chips, cookies, open guac, everything open from her house. We hear crying and screaming from the beach. It's the organizer on the phone with her boyfriend. We debated leaving, but I just hate conflict, and I knew she literally couldn't carry the tables and boxes up by herself in the pitch black up multiple flights of stairs. So we went down and just started putting stuff in boxes and carrying them up. The organizer snapped at us and said, I can do it. But we continued. Most of them were so heavy that we had to carry them up together while the organizer was on the phone crying to her boyfriend. Not once during the setup, the chaos, or even the teardown was there an I'm so sorry or thank you all so much. Not once. I know because I was waiting for it, waiting for just 1 ounce of gratitude or remorse for any of it. So me and the other girl still carrying up the boxes together. Well, we finally get the final box and the organizer comes down and says, just leave it. My boyfriend and his friends are coming to help. I lost it. Where the hell were these people all day? And you wait to tell us he's coming after lugging everything up to the U-Haul? Unbelievable. So the other girl who left earlier sent an email to her and CC'd all of us asking for their money back. None of us got a shred of content. None of us shot at all. They also copied the email into our Instagram group chat, and we were able to see that the organizers saw it within the chat and left us on red. One of the attendees responded by saying that we know she saw it and we would like a response. She responded saying our claims other than the timing of the event was false and that we signed a contract and she will respond when she has a chance to breathe. At this point, she said that she spoke with a lawyer and that she doesn't have to give us any money back, but that she will be nice. It will just take her time to make payments back. No one has yet to receive any funds. So, you wanna kick us off?
Well, here's what I'll say. I've actually organized many styled shoots, paid events, and it's so much work. Mm-hmm. So I'm not discounting how much work goes into it. However, you have to be prepared for that. Mm-hmm. And you, as a business owner, as somebody who's putting on an event like this, a photo shoot, you are responsible for everything that takes place during that shoot, especially for people coming out of town.
Yeah.
So the styled shoots that I host here are all very local or within an hour driving distance, but I still count that as time that people are taking out of their day to pay for an event, to receive content, and I will be damned if it is not so well organized that people leave and message me after and say, thank you so much. That was so well organized, so well put on. I cannot imagine as a photographer putting other photographers and videographers in a position to feel so helpless, so frustrated, so disappointed in the product that was being put together.
And then be out thousands of dollars.
And also to just be a raging bitch the whole fucking time.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, you may not be confrontational submitter who sent this, but I 100% am. And I think as somebody who has been in a position who has hosted so many of these events, I could not in good conscience sit through something like that and watch other people suffer financially and just through an event like that and not be so irate and so livid and so disappointed that I would have to say something, and I would honestly call the police.
Yeah.
Call the cops.
Call the po-po-ho.
Give me my money back.
Legitimately, this organizer, and it's hard because the submitter, I do understand not everybody's confrontational, but this would have been a different scenario had I been at this shoot.
Yeah.
This would have been absolutely, like, I am impressed that people stayed as long as they did, because if the shoot starts at 2 and I know sunset's at 5:30, even once it hits 3, I'm out and I'm filing a claim on this transaction if you don't give me my money back. There's 3 different...
I'm disputing it with my bank.
Yeah. You advertised 3 different concepts and an Airbnb stay. You told me what airport to go in, and then you changed the Airbnb to an hour and a half away. Like, you're already pissing me off by the time I even get to the day. So if everything's not set up the way you said that it was going to be set up, now I'm putting it together and you're yelling at me as to how I'm doing it. Be so fucking for real. And then to have the audacity to be snapping at the attendees throughout the event. And then again, and I get it. We, maybe not all of us, but many of us have had money troubles in our life. But to put on a styled shoot and collect funds from people, Probably to pay
Not
your bills.
a little amount of funds either.
Not.
$1,300 per person times 5.
Yeah. And that's the people who didn't drop out. She probably had deposits from other people, because if you pay for half of a content ticket and you're supposed to pay the rest, a week before, and you drop out of the content day, you're not getting that money back. So I'm just like, how much money did this bitch collect? And now she's crying to other people about how she can't pay her bills. I get it, honey. Life is hard, but that doesn't mean you take other people's hard-earned money, $1,300 for a content day.
That's $6,500.
And also, how much is your fucking rent? Where do you live? Dubai? Like
Dubai?
Biden. Anyways, I just had a stroke. You know what I just sounded like for a second? That Bailey with the Tourette's.
Oh, I love her. Balin.
Yeah, she's so sweet. But anyways, I read this story and I was like, no, this enrages me. So I feel like, let's talk about tips for people signing up for content days.
Here's the thing. So for me personally, what I like to do as an organizer is showcase, yes, what the inspo is for this specific event, but also have reference photos to what previous events have looked like with me. Because if I'm signing up for something and I'm only seeing your Pinterest inspo, but you don't have anything to show for what you've put on in the past, I don't trust you.
And if your work personally doesn't match anything, like I'm like,
And also, this person clearly wasn't working with a planner.
Yeah.
And that is your first mistake. If you are going to a styled shoot, granted, as photographers, yes, are we wildly creative and can we produce and put on stuff? I mean, yes, I have a lot of concepts that I've come up with where I'm like, God damn, Shorty is good.
Yeah.
She's good. Me. Yeah. I'm good. And I know that you and I have come up with a ton of different ideas. We're like, oh, this is fucking sick because we have that creative eye. But if you're hosting a large scale event like this and you are not working with a planner, keep in mind, you have to get all of the shit, all of the vendors, all of the setup, all of the teardown. That is not a one-person job. So if your person, the organizer of the event, does not have a tag list of all of the vendors that they are working with that are supporting them in this, and they're just ordering everything off of Amazon, or they're buying all of the stuff themselves, and they're doing, that's great and fine if they can execute it. But if they have nothing to show for it, do not trust it. Do not trust it. Especially at a high ticket cost like that. If somebody is charging you $1,300 for a ticket like that, and they have cool, fun, funky inspo, but they don't have any vendors to actually collaborate with them on the event to make sure that it is a success, it is going to fail.
Yeah, if I cannot agree with that more, and I've never thought about that. If I'm going to be giving you my shmoney, where's the vendor list?
Yep.
I want to know.
I need to
know. Who's the florist?
Yep.
Now, the planner, in our experience, we've planned things, we've whatever. I will not do a styled shoot without a planner now.
Yep.
And also, I'm very specific about the planner. Yep. Like, I'm not just going to have a random planner come to me and be like, you want to be a part of this? No, I don't. It's got to be very specific, but yeah, I need to know that you're not going to go to Trader Joe's and get, a couple bushels and do them yourself.
Stock flowers and put them in a bucket.
Yeah, not happening.
And the thing is, too, is like, again, at such a high ticket cost, you're paying, like you said, I want a fucking planner. Yeah. I want to know exactly who is there and what I'm paying for. Yeah. Because I'm not just paying for some dumb fucking young photographer. And I'm sorry, but I hate to say it, but this photographer is probably young.
Yeah.
Young.
Or just delusional.
But it sounds young.
Yeah.
It's giving young, naive. And, there's a lot of idiotic 30-year-olds, too. There's a lot of morons in their 30s, 40s, 50s, whatever. But in this specific instance, it's giving inexperienced. It's giving maybe they have cool work on their Insta. But this is not them shooting whatever the fuck they want. This is them organizing a full-blown event. And not just a full-blown event. Meals. People's stays.
Yeah.
Also, not as somebody who only hosts styled shoots or has hosted them, as somebody who has attended retreats across the country for photo retreats, I've been to some good ones, and I've been to some where I'm thinking, this is so unorganized and so not okay.
Yeah.
Where I have actually taken control of the situation, because I'm not going to sit here after I paid for this to just watch everybody else twiddle their fucking thumbs and say, well, what should we do? No, bitch. Here's what we're doing.
Yeah.
We're taking charge and we're taking over this shit. Because if I'm going to be in a different state or a different country, away from my family, away from my friends, away from my motherfucking dog, my literal soulmate, I'm at least getting something out of it.
Yeah. It's like Denzel, right? Like, I'm leaving here with something.
Literally.
I am not, but if you get to a shoot and you are having to help set it up,
call the police.
We have already, and I'm pretty, maybe anal's not the word, but I went to a styled shoot, paid a hefty penny, and I was pissed because it was done beautifully. Everything was set up perfectly, all this stuff, but you got there, you couldn't move the models. They couldn't move. Like, anytime they moved, they had to hike the dress way up. And I was just a little irked because I was like, okay, this is not, I'm not going to be getting any type of natural photographs. This is purely portraiture. Like, I can't have her, be picked up and spun around, like nothing. And I left that situation. In no way did I say anything negative. I paid the money, but I immediately had to learn that lesson of going, okay, well, I won't be doing that again. I won't be working with that group again. And that's how picky I am.
And I think knowing these things now too is like, have these ideas in your mind and ask questions. Email the organizer. Yeah. Can we move the dresses? Are they able to be in the sand? Where are the gowns provided from? Who is your planner? Who is your floral? What's the floral aesthetics? Will the florals be real? Because I will be damned if I pay $1,300 for a styled shoot and every single flower is from Joann Fabrics and I'm going with the fucking organizer the night before to Joann's to pick out the florals. Not a chance in actual hell.
No, it sucks though. Like, we shouldn't have to ask any of those questions.
Of course
you should be able to. And I'm also a person who I don't like creating styled shoots. It is not fun. It's so much fucking work.
It's a lot of work.
The only way that I do them is if I have a very clear vision, not even of the design, because I, like, for the 4 that I'm planning with that one venue, I'm bringing on planners. I'm like, here's a mood board, but planners can take it from there. But there's a very specific end goal with those styled shoots.
For sure.
But just for fun, I'm like, it's so much work. I can't do it. And I also don't want to sell tickets. I don't want other people at my shoots. I need everyone to get the fuck out of my way. So if you are going to go to these styled shoots, unfortunately, you kind of have to be like, I don't know.
Because what we've learned from this pod and the submissions too is that people are scam artists.
Seriously.
People are out here scamming people. And just because you're not experiencing it or you haven't gone through that yourself, it happens on a daily basis in so many different situations and so many different, realms of what you do.
Yeah.
And people are scamming.
Yeah.
So it's a real thing that's happening. And if you want to protect yourself and not be in a situation like this, unfortunately, you have to go through the steps of making sure that you are covered, that your bases are covered. And just because somebody makes a pretty ad and posts on Instagram that pops up on your story does not mean that they are a professional at hosting these types of events.
Yeah. And in this situation, I did a little digging to find who put this on. And of course, like, I'm not trying to put anyone on blast, so I'm not going to talk about it. But their feed is very artistic, but it seems like it's also a lot of styled shoots that other people have put on. So I'm like, I'm wondering if this person then was like, oh, I can do this, and then I can get people to pay me
it's always
for
what
this.
Happens.
Yeah, and I go, so
that's
people
exactly how it happens.
Probably went and looked at her profile and went, look at all of her work. It's so amazing. She must know what she's doing. It's like, no, she's actually a fucking idiot. She's a fucking idiot.
And you know what? That is a really hard pill to swallow because people can be really good at taking pictures, but it does not mean that they're good at putting on a photo shoot. It does not mean that they're good at hosting events. It does not mean that they're good at organizing anything or running a business. You can be a good photographer and take a pretty picture or two and not be good at any of the administrative side of things that goes into planning an event like this.
Yeah.
Oh, this is crazy.
We're pausing quick so Nikki can look at the feed of the person who put this on.
No, this is crazy.
Wouldn't you look at that and be like, oh,
this is crazy.
Clearly they know. So for that person,
this is crazy. I'm trying to find who they are. Give me a pic of yourself. Because this is beyond nuts.
Yeah.
Very artsy, very edgy, very editorial, very like, you would think this person had that shit on lock.
Yeah.
But like I just said, you can be really good at snapping a pic or two.
Yep.
And be really shitty at all of the administrative side of things, all of the planning, all of the organizing.
Just a shitty human.
And also be a fucking scam artist.
This is how scary Instagram can be. And besides the styled shoot, I was hiring a second shooter for a gorgeous wedding out on the East Coast. And someone sent me like, hey, you know, here's some portfolio work of mine. I looked at their Instagram and I go, oh shit, this is really nice.
Beautiful.
I go to these galleries. The scariest shit I've ever seen in my life. Like things absolutely not even level. Take out the color grading of it, because I would at least be doing the editing, but just like how they were shooting, nothing's in focus. And I go, you know, it's nuts how well someone can string together a like a profile on Instagram and make you think that they're good at what they do. It is mind-boggling to me. So anyways.
This girl gonna piss me off.
I know. Hand it back to me with the screen. Yeah, there we go. Sorry, guys. Like I said, we're trying not to. I would love if you like commented on one of their photos and was like, "You dumb bitch." Just like, we know what you did.
I know what you did last summer.
Did you look at the styled shoot like concept board?
That's for that.
Yes.
Really quickly, let's read this. This is the post of her promoting this styled shoot. It's here. 2 nights, 1 very full day of impeccably styled shoots. 3 concepts you haven't seen before. Custom-made dresses, vintage and antique details, creative idea building time with other artists, delicious food, the beach, and most importantly, artist-client bait for your portfolio. 12 spots left.
What a weird
way to say that.
12 spots, only 5 went. None of them
3
shot.
ended up staying. Or leaving.
Yeah. 12 spots, but artist client bait. Am I just thinking that that's dumb or like an insane thing to say?
I am so upset.
Do you see that little thing in the water? Like
the surprise concept.
Yeah.
And that is the mirrored pillar that they were trying to make.
That the attendees were making.
And then got yelled at for doing it wrong.
Mm-hmm.
This is insane. 2-night stay, welcome dinner, pre-shoot group idea concept meetings, 3 shoots. This is disgusting. Honestly, gross. Mm-hmm. And I think that people like this should be put on blast because it is honestly, you are a scam artist and you are ripping people off in such a big way.
Yeah. I'm willing to bet.
I'm not saying anything.
Yeah, people might be able to, deduce this on their own. But yeah, not very pleased. I saw that, or that information was sent to me.
The fact that this is still up on her story or on her actual Instagram page is insane. I'm screenshotting every single.
What's our favorite thing to say?
Slide.
It's fucking diabolical.
That is diabolical.
Nuts.
That's sick and twisted.
So anyway. What have people been saying to me on my Amazon video? Buyer beware. Like, Jesus fucking Christ. You can't trust anybody nowadays. But I don't know. That's that on that.
Let us know if you guys listening or watching have had any unfortunate styled shoots, or event stuff, photo retreat shit where you've been duped or felt like you've been duped and stuff like that. Super interested to hear if other people have similar experiences dealing with stuff like this because I know how common styled shoots are. I actually did hear of one. I had somebody who attended a styled shoot here in the Twin Cities. They were partly modeling for it and it was so just unorganized. I guess it was like raining on the day of and the organizer took all the dresses out in the rain that came from this bridal shop instead of staying within the venue. It was just super unorganized, chaotic. She said that things just were like all over the place. Yeah. There wasn't a set schedule. They were running late. You know, I've heard of so many things like that. And for me, as somebody who organizes these, like, we're always running on a time clock. We're always trying to make sure people aren't on top of each other, that people feel like they've had enough time shooting, that they're getting their money's worth of what they're paying for. Like, I just can't imagine putting my name to something that could be such a fucking disaster and then, like, not even apologizing.
Yeah. Not only not apologizing, being so rude and just
such
like
a bitch.
Entitled. And then, oh, I can't pay my bills. That is not a me problem. And mind you, Nikki and I are some of the most overly empathetic people you've ever met in your life.
We be crying at everybody's shit.
We be crying at everything. We've been giving people money left and right. Like, I will be duped by people. That is what it is. But this, you not being able to pay your bills and then taking thousands of dollars.
Do you see who follows her?
I'm not surprised.
Really?
Because people, you post artistic shit, people follow you. They think you're good at what you do. And maybe she's good with her camera.
That's what I'm saying.
But doesn't mean that you're a good person.
You can be a good photographer, but
mind you, let me also point out that everyone has their bad days. Like, I do get that. But this was a shit show from the planning, from the execution. Like, you knew that this was not going off well.
Her Threads bio says photographer, stylist, and creative director for 13 years.
Oh, okay. Well, okay.
Since you were 2? Because this is not
well. No, she must be our age, but she's just a scammer.
Her thread says, if you're asking a group of photographers why luxury wedding planners aren't responding to your cold calls, emails, you've missed the point altogether. Like, you're too opinionated for being really fucking shitty at your job. I can't.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I know I'm probably coming off as mean and cold, but to hear what this person did, as somebody who puts so much time and effort into planning stuff like that, I cannot wrap my head around people like this. I just can't, and I won't.
Agreed. And anyway. I thought that I want to share it with all of you. So shout out to whoever submitted that to us. We really appreciate you.
Thank you for taking the time to
type that out. Yeah,
that was a lot. And I'm so sorry for your experience, because what a shitty thing to go through. And then to be in like a warm weather state by the beach and supposed to be having this awesome experience, and you're just left with a really bad taste in your mouth. So
yeah,
God bless you.
God bless. Okay, y'all. Well, thank you so much for joining this cocktail hour. Don't forget to subscribe, review the pod wherever you listen.
Don't forget to follow along. We are on social media. Follow us on Instagram at cocktailhour.podcast. Make sure you submit all of your stories there. The link is in our bio. Everything is anonymous. And we would love to hear from you. Air your grievances. Give us hot takes. Long stories like this. Like, we love all of it. And our episodes come out every Friday with a mini episode on Wednesdays.
Yeah. We'll see you guys later.
Bye.